Hello everybody, welcome back for another video. Hope you're all doing well and that you're all having a great day. As always, leaving a that's a thumbs up, leaving a thumbs up, leaving a like, leaving a comment, multiple comments, or by subscribing. It does help with the algorithm. And without further ado, let's jump right into it. Once again, another confusingly ridiculous day in the cryptocurrency space. Bitcoin and the wider cryptocurrency market have dropped once again. However, there's an actual reason behind a large portion of this. The first portion of this is that during earnings reports for a number of companies yesterday, the stock market began to slide down. It says Facebook stocks plunges after profits have declined. Apparently, the news is, when looking around, Facebook's pivot to Meta has apparently lost them some support, as they have announced that they've lost a number of users on their main platform, which is the first time that this has ever happened in Facebook's history, and that the initial pivot to Meta, creating the metaverse, will not remain or will not be profitable for a number of years. This is actually how a number of companies work. This is how Uber works. This is how Google works, YouTube. The idea being you build it up, and in the background, you are actually losing money, but at some point it does pivot and then you will become profitable for 20, 30, 40, 50 years. So 5 years of pain, if you will, is usually seen as worth it. For some reason, the stock collapsed on this news, and a lot of people grew quite bearish on it, but I think that'll completely change over the course of the next 3 to 4 months once people actually see what they plan on doing with the metaverse and how much money they expect to make from people using their platform. The second thing that happened was, it says PayPal stock tumbles after disappointing earnings guidance. Payments company lowers its 2022 profits outlook and scraps an ambitious growth strategy it had in place last year. I think they fell by also 20% in profit value on the stock market after this ended up taking place. As we've seen before, for some odd reason, there is a correlation between the cryptocurrency market and the, I don't know if I would even call this a tech stock, but as we have seen before, that when tech stocks move up, the cryptocurrency market moves up. When tech stocks move down, we tend to follow them just all the same. On top of that as well, keeping in mind this is all wrapped together because for some reason we should have been completely decoupled from any other market out there, especially by the year 2022, but alas. On top of that as well, stock futures are also falling based off of the earnings misses and also the declines of other major stocks out there, and therefore other people are afraid that if they can fall, my stock can also fall. Futures are currently down. But of course, there's actually one thing that's really playing a pivotal role in why all of this is happening. I'm pretty certain I can't read that out because of the algorithm. But if you are looking at the screen, you understand this also made major news. The moment this news was released, Bitcoin dropped. Immediately fell down. Why this in particular would have any immediate or any effect on the price of Bitcoin is, I understand why it would, as it is a major world event. I totally understand that. But historically in the past, before 2020, anytime that there was actually an event like this, Bitcoin's price would move up. Do you remember before in 2019 and I believe maybe even 2020, when we had news similar to this about another place in the world, and we also had a situation where other countries, their currencies were collapsing? Was one of them Lebanon? I want to say Lebanon. And then we also had news about Turkish inflation, which was also a really big issue, and Bitcoin's price actually went up. Usually when there are world problems, Bitcoin's price tends to move up because it's supposed to be an opposite correlation to what the stock market would normally do, i.e. you run to Bitcoin when you see that there's a problem, because that's just kind of the narrative. It also is, if you're looking at the screen, it is number 2 on the right side. Quite major news. And I love that Melinda Gates not giving away her money got the #1 spot, and not the fact that we might be in trouble in the next couple of weeks. So yeah, as of right now, all markets are down. I mean, the U.S. stock market isn't completely in red, but things have begun falling based off of this news. Who knows? And it's very difficult to say. This is why I mention a lot of times when we do have news about people giving technical analysis or many other things, it's impossible to say where these prices are going to go, because there are far too many factors currently swirling around the planet that lead to instances like this, where the cryptocurrency market and or the stock market ends up falling. It happens every 2 or 3 weeks. Something else new and dramatic ends up happening, and it causes markets around the world. Like if you look at the actual stock market, the volatility or the jumpiness of it, it looks completely out of control right now because no one has any idea what's happening. And of course, not to be left out, there was a lot of random altcoin news talking about this altcoin fell down. Are bears back in control? Have bears taken the market? No, please just look at the other things that are happening on the planet, and that's usually a very clear indication as to why the other coins are falling. And also, these other coins aren't strong enough to really push themselves that much higher, especially if Bitcoin is falling at the same time. So yeah, that's the price news. Just being realistic with everyone once again out there. This is why no one knows where the market is going to be going. So if anyone tells you the market is going here or there, you know, I'd rather just wait to see what the world events currently are and how they're going to play out. Alrighty, that's the price news. And yes, let's move on. Comically enough, also in the news today, in the very popular news today, it says Russia has conducted a study which estimates that the traders or cryptocurrency holders in the country own more than 200 billion. That is a B with $1 billion worth of crypto. The calculation analyzed IP addresses of major crypto traders in the country and subsidiary information. According to data shared by Bloomberg, over 17 million Russians own crypto. The Russian government has historically never embraced cryptocurrency. That is a complete lie. But the popularity of digital assets is growing, leading the Bank of Russia and the president to look for ways of regulating crypto. Do you remember 2.5 weeks ago what happened in that country? Remember, there was a good week-long period where everyone was like, it's going to be banned. We are going to ban it. It has no use. It's terrible. We're going to ban it. It's going to be banned. And the cryptocurrency market fell a tiny bit. And I said, not that I can talk to the market. I'm not like a horse whisperer. But I was like, why are you falling? What do you think that you're doing? And then the news that I also did not cover was that later on that week, I believe it was the end of the week, the president came forward and was like, hey, we are not going to ban it because it has a lot of economic purposes for this country. And everybody was like, wow, he's a really cool guy. Do you know how that country works? Do you know how any other country works? Read a book. I mean, it would really improve your life if you started reading books to learn how these countries actually work. No one actually has a say outside of what he says. If you watch actual documentaries on how many different countries work, what usually happens is news is put out that is a negative that they know that people will be against because they know how to gauge the popularity of certain things. But then he comes out to say the exact opposite to make himself look like the leader or the champion. That's how news works. It's the same exact way that other countries in that same region also work, is that they have complete role and complete say over what takes place within said country. So no, there was never going to be a cryptocurrency ban. There is not going to be a cryptocurrency ban. And the idea that so many people in the country actually own tons of cryptocurrency also isn't that surprising. The idea of them never embracing it is also, once again, a complete lie. Do you remember in 2019, what news did we go over in 2019? No, it was definitely 2019. It was definitely before 19 happened that we were going over. Remember the people within the Kremlin, one of the finance ministers, whatever his name is, announced twice that they had, a couple billion left over, and they were going to be buying Bitcoin with it. And they also had their estimates as to where Bitcoin was going to go and exactly how much they would actually have, et cetera, et cetera. And then 3 days later, people were asking, and he was like, I don't know what a Bitcoin is. What is Bitcoin? Kind of weird, right? So yeah, it's not surprising at all. I would not be surprised if those 17 million people in the country was also slightly inflated. But I do believe $200 billion worth of crypto. Now, and I'll even scale it back. I'm going to say at least $150 billion worth of cryptocurrencies is probably owned by the government, because we had news before, don't forget history, where there were a number of countries, it was around 6 of them, who were then and still are under sanctions by the United States. We had news from every single day that they were either trying to create Bitcoin bonds based off of Bitcoin, which the IMF said no to, or we had news from internal sources that they were already trading Bitcoin amongst themselves as a way to get around sanctions. And can you guess which country was also one of those countries? Ding, ding, ding. It's the one that's on the screen. So I assume the country has a huge, like the government has a huge amount of cryptocurrencies themselves. Don't forget about the rules that they were trying to apply before, which I assume still slightly hold, was that in order to be able to have cryptocurrencies in general in the country, you had to be rich and you had to have money. So this news is being touted around by a lot of different websites as, wow, this is so cool. Look at crypto adoption over there. I can't believe they're doing so much better than the United States. Watch a documentary. I mean, it would really, you don't, this is also something else which we're also going to get into. This, you would really find out how much it expands your mind to really understand how other countries actually function. The other secondary part, I've already clicked on it, that has to do with the fact that, do you remember, for those of you not looking at the screen, it says the 10th of April, 2021, the Ukraine had announced something that in order to, I think all their public officials had to come out and openly say how much they owned in their assets. How many homes you have, how much gold you have, how much diamonds, blah, 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 blah. You kind of get the entire idea. And then we found out, this is the news that got out to the public. So I can only imagine what's actually happening behind the scenes. I think it was a number of members of parliament. They collectively, it was no more than 6 or 7 people. They own $2.6 billion just in Bitcoin. Themselves. They asked 791,000 employees, 652 actually responded or disclosed their holdings, and a very small portion of them held a huge amount of Bitcoin. Where's the other guy? And then one singular person himself has 18,000 Bitcoin. When you talk about what's actually taking place, what's really happening around us, this is it. When you talk about governments and agencies and corporations and regulators saying that cryptocurrencies are terrible, they're horrible, no one should be using them, why does anyone have them? And then we find out time and time again that these people actually have them. How much do you want to bet? Have you seen, there's so much, I found this out even a couple of days ago and it makes so much sense. If you look at the actual stock portfolios of members of Congress, of the Senate within the United States, I think they are required to disclose them, but a lot of people actually follow them as like an actual stock portfolio. They see that Pelosi has sold something. These people end up selling, and the next day the stock actually ends up going down. How insane is that? The crazy part is that we can't see if these people are buying cryptocurrencies. They may be doing it over the counter. They may be doing it through another party. Who knows exactly what's going on? How much do you want to bet? At least 5 of the people within the United States who've come out in opposition of cryptocurrencies to talk about how terrible that they are probably own over each 1,000 Bitcoin themselves. Of course it's happening. Of course it's actually out there. This is why every single time that we get news from any country, I don't care where it is on this planet, who announces that crypto is evil, crypto's bad, crypto's so-and-so, crypto's yeah. I'm like, they own cryptocurrencies. Of course they do. Why would you be so adamant to make sure that you talk about something negatively about that you don't own, that you don't have, or that you actually think is not going to make it in the world, which is usually one of the main narratives from a lot of countries. Cryptos aren't going to make it. Cryptos are garbage. Why would anybody be using cryptocurrencies? It's the same exact way that I always say. If you don't like cucumbers, you don't walk into the supermarket going, no one buy this, This is terrible. It's disgusting. It has no flavor. No, you simply walk by it because it has no meaning for your life. So the point is, yes, of course, I'm sure many Russians own cryptocurrencies, but I'm also certain that the government has a huge amount of it as well. The US government actually has a lot of cryptocurrencies. I'll also let you find that for yourself. I'm pretty sure a lot of people, your ears perked up because you know exactly what I'm talking about. But yeah, this isn't spectacular news. This is the government buying up as much as, once again, if Bitcoin does at some point become a reserve, the reserve, or one of the major world currencies on the planet, the government wants to have it all for themselves and not the actual public, because that's how things work. Why is no one paying attention to what's actually taking place in front of us every single day? It's always in the news, nonstop, constantly. Think of what it means. Okay, I think we'll just move on. Anyway, yeah, because I could literally go on forever, and I'm pretty sure a lot of you know that I could as well. Just understand that these people are buying up tons of Bitcoin, and every single time that they buy up 18,000 Bitcoin for one person, those are hundreds of millions of people on the planet who will never be able to own even 1 million Satoshis. So just understand where all of this is going. Alrighty, let's move on. Next up, in the most popular, unpopular news of the day, a bridge between Solana and Ethereum has been exploited for millions of dollars in the latest setback for Solana. This is now the 5th or 6th time in the last 2 or 3 months that something has happened, and people still continue to ignore that it is happening to this blockchain. A Solana bridge, and I just heard someone curse. I heard someone just complain that I said the truth about this blockchain. A Solana bridge called Wormhole has been exploited for as much as $320 million, according to reports emerging on the 3rd of February. The team posted a notice that the bridge has been hacked, losing 120,000 wrapped Ether, valued at around $320 million at the time. It added that Ether would be added to ensure the wrapped variant in the bridge is fully backed at the time of writing. The latest announcement of the Wormhole Twitter feed was that the vulnerability had been patched and that they were working at restoring the network. This has happened over and over for Solana multiple times. Was Solana, excuse me if I am incorrect, because there are so many other altcoins that have the same exact problems going on at least once a week. Was Solana the one that also had a 51% attack about 4 or 5 weeks ago? And everyone also completely brushed that one off, and I think Solana even went up that day in price. So, yeah, this happens to every single Ethereum competitor. It has happened every single time over the course of the years. Of course, it's happening internally within the cryptocurrency space. This is kind of a thing that other blockchains do to other blockchains. For those of you who have been here since 2017 or 2018, you might remember a lot of times where we got news that Bitcoin was more congested than usual. We had 28,000 pending transactions, when the normal was like 10 to 15,000, maybe a little bit less, somewhere around there. Other companies, other institutions, other blockchains make sure that they try to find ways to exploit the other blockchains. It's meant to pressure test them as much as they possibly can. It's happened to Ethereum. It's happened to XRP. It's happened to Litecoin a couple of times. We had a couple of privacy coins a couple of years ago that also had the same exact thing. But what ends up happening is some of these chains do end up breaking. They do end up slowing down. We find out all the vulnerabilities inside of them. But what also ends up taking place is people lose tons of money. The second part of what ends up happening is, for some reason, since 2018, people have such high conviction for their blockchains and believe that nothing bad will ever take place with this blockchain. They end up sticking with it. They end up believing that at some point this is all FUD. People are lying. It can't possibly be true. And then before you know it, by the middle of the next year, which is probably going to be sometime around May, June, July, you'll see. We usually have 3 other coins that end up popping up. It's always the same. And these 3 coins are meant to be the Solana competitor, the Cardano competitor, and some other coin competitor. These three coins end up making it into the top 15, maybe into the top 10. They become quite popular. People go, oh gosh, why didn't I put my money into that earlier in the year when that coin was only worth about 4 cents? It's because you didn't hear about it, and they found a very clever way to actually boost the price of that coin. The coin ends up becoming very popular. And then before you know it, around 6-7 months in, people start stress testing it. It ends up falling apart. And this is just kind of the way that it also goes. This also happened to Bitcoin Cash, which no one talks about anymore because I think they had 2 or 3 51% attacks. And I told people on the channel, I was like, pay attention. These stress tests are happening on purpose. You have to make sure, if you as a mega corporation, not saying that a corporation is doing it, but you understand the idea, and you plan on adopting said coin, said project, imagine if Bank of America, JP Morgan Chase, PayPal, and 5 other companies had adopted Solana. And I mean, really not listed it on their platform as a way to buy and sell and hold, but adopted it. And JP Morgan Chase put one contract that had $1.75 billion inside of it. We all went to sleep. We woke up. That money was gone. What do you think would have happened to Solana? Right. So, for some reason, people within the cryptocurrency space really brush this off. I give it 6 days. This will no longer be news. People will be completely obsessed with Solana once again, forgetting that any of these things happen. And I know that a lot of you are maybe angry, clenching your teeth, or are really upset, but I'm trying to tell you these things because I've been in the market for so long. You have to understand when the signs are there. This keeps happening over and over. This is not the first time that this has happened, not only to this blockchain, but to the hundreds of other coins that have come before it. It's going to continue happening as well. Remember the news that we had in 2017 and 2018? People were also stress testing or also trying to perform 51% attacks on Tron, on Cardano. What was the other one that came out? On EOS and one other coin. It happens all the time. If you can find people, if you are someone and you can find a way to make $321 million in an hour and a half, what do you think people are going to do if you have vulnerabilities in your blockchain? So, as always, sometimes it is better if you sit back and reevaluate the things that are actually in your portfolio because, you know, not everything that glitters is gold. Right. Okay. Let's move on. I could have made an entire video just about this one topic in stupid news because his name is TV Somanthathan, the finance secretary for the Indian government, is reportedly pushing back against the narrative that cryptocurrencies will be widely accepted within the country by dismissing the possibility of using them as legal tender. According to a Wednesday tweet from Asian News International, Samanthathan said that a digital rupee backed by the Reserve Bank of India, or the RBI, will be accepted as legal tender, but major cryptocurrencies have no choice of doing so. The finance secretary added that because digital assets, including Bitcoin and Ether, do not have authorization from the government, they will likely remain assets whose value will be determined between two people. He said, and I quote, "Digital rupee issued by RBI will be a legal tender. Rest all aren't legal tender, will never become legal tender. Bitcoin, Ethereum, or NFT will never become legal tender. You can buy gold, diamond, crypto, but that will have not the value authorization by government." I don't live in India. If you live in India, can you please tell me if this is a thing? Anytime in the last 10 years, have people been calling for diamonds to be legal tender within the country? I didn't think so. No, probably not. Is there a current discussion within the Indian cryptocurrency media that people want to use NFTs as legal tender? Oh, there isn't? Okay, cool. I'm not sure what these people think is actually going on in the world around them, but they probably are usually so far removed from actual reality. Have you ever seen when people have discussions with like members of parliament or even like very rich people about things that are actually currently taking place in the world, they have no idea what's going on. They have no idea what's actually happening to you, your neighbors, on the street, in your community, in your neighborhood, in your state, or usually even within your actual country, because they live so far removed. These are terms that he heard at some other point before that he assumed people were like, oh no, we can't have digital images as legal tender. So as it stands right now, the news that we received a couple of days ago, oh my nose, was that apparently India is working on, or it has been revealed that they plan on having a 30% tax on crypto movements within the country. Good luck on that one. The idea of these assets never becoming legal tender, they don't know that, because even we don't know that, because their currency is garbage and continues to be garbage and has been garbage over the last 15 years. That's not me talking about their country specifically. It is more so that if the US dollar is garbage, if the euro is garbage, and these other countries have had normal and terrible inflation over the last 20 years, we can only assume that the digitization of their currency also is going to follow the exact same economic rules. Tons of printing, it's going to lose its value, and it's going to be absolutely terrible. As it stands right now, wouldn't it be the weirdest thing in the entire world, or the unweirdest thing, if we find out that this man actually holds Bitcoin? Wouldn't that just take the cake, because it keeps happening over and over? Every single person who has ever opposed Bitcoin owns Bitcoin. The only person is Warren Buffett. But he's also 138 years old, and I don't assume he's going to be opening up a Coinbase account anytime soon. Even that other guy, Peter Rabbit. What's the other guy's name? The guy who hates Bitcoin but loves gold. He even admitted in 2019 and 2020 that he owns a fraction of Bitcoin, but he claims that it was gifted to him, and that his son also holds tons of Bitcoin, but he doesn't believe in what his son is doing. I'm sure. Wink. So yeah. I saw this news and I was like, what do you think people on the streets are doing? Do you think people are smashing diamonds and being like, "Hey, can I have a Pepsi?" Cool, thanks. With their fractions of I don't actually understand what is happening. So anyway, I mean, I'm really shocked. I just assumed that the next time I go to India that I'd be able to use an NFT as legal tender, but hopes have been dashed. Wow, sad times all around. Like, what are you talking about? Anyway, that goes into the stupid news box because alrighty, and let's move on. And to finish things off, despite being unable to launch a spot Bitcoin ETF in the States, Grayscale will have an exchange-traded fund in the country. The world's largest digital asset manager, Grayscale Investments, announced today the launch of its first ETF, dubbed Grayscale Future of Finance ETF. It will be the first equity ETF to track the performance of the Bloomberg Grayscale Future of Finance Index. The statement, dated the 2nd of February, informed that the new product ticker will be GFOF. It says GFOF, terrible name. It will aim to build upon the thesis that the digital economy will boost global commerce, drive market efficiencies, and provide access to new pools of capital while reducing the need for costly and cumbersome intermediaries. It's kind of sad. Nearly all the companies who have tried to launch a Bitcoin ETF-esque type thing within the United States, they have all been completely pushed to the side by the US SEC, who told them no. And now they're all kind of making their own ETFs, either in other countries, either in Canada or usually in Europe. It's either Canada, Switzerland, or Germany who kind of get the actual real ETFs going on. Or they end up making something that is based off of Bitcoin futures ETF, or they try and take a pool of companies who are in the cryptocurrency space, who are Bitcoin exposed companies, and therefore they track those companies. Like it's kind of sad. It's like wanting a cheeseburger, but you don't get the cheese, you don't get the bread, you don't get the meat, you get like a pickle. And it's still good, but it's not the whole burger. So this will continue happening for a while, I assume. I don't think these ETFs are ever going to actually take off. It just makes a lot more sense that if you want actual exposure to them, just buy the companies, or if you are following said companies because you want the fact that they are exposed to Bitcoin because you think Bitcoin could potentially make it, why wouldn't you just own the thing that there's only 21 million of and will never have any more ever made? That's the Grayscale news. Kind of sad, but I mean, it's the US SEC, so what can you do? As always, a very special thank you to my Patreon supporters, Professor Wally from Gunbot University, Darren Davis, hello to you out there, thank you very much. How's life, Austin? Jamie Saad, Blockchain Simplified, and let's move on. Chris, Hakeem Wilkins, Empire Queen, Stake It With Valor, FUDWISER Mortified, Roman Geba, Bitcoin Ben Arachno, Dave, Tony Ambroski, The Dealer's Den, Red Plump Tomato, Umnu, Wish Nikki, the letter M, Not Brain, Captain Something in the Z-Way Lay, Crypto Black Sheep, AJ Cut 5, Speedy 655, and Carlos Was Like, Mobarazi, Jojo Shaw Show, VB Nerd 21, Miguel Grollet, Lauren De Silva, Quoted Biddy, Bare Bones Mining, Troy All Good, Space Case, Need a Miracle, Paternoster, Conan, Don't Skip Leg Day, Snacky Chan, Tolek Banan, Auspicious Agile and Blockchain, Navarro Williams, David James, Attila Dahan, Yasha Harari, Utopia 569, Moonman High, XRP, Martin Steuer. I was like, where am I? I scrolled so fast because I know some of them by heart. I scrolled past the name. Moonman High, XRP, Martin Steuer, Nostromo, John Sarsen, The Animal Reader, Bibliophobia, Todd, Mullis, Adam, Graysick, Mohan Maroni, Master Ventures in Thailand, Jared Schneider, Wise Night Owl, 242 to the World, Bankroll Network, Crypto Artist, Coldy 3D, Damien, Setsuna, Richie Rich III, Vlad the Impaler, Paxis, Nick, Manji Alavodi, Jim Gardner, Jemmy Fox, Minting Coins, Miller Hitch Test Every Day, and Kyle Skips Leg Day. Yes to Crypto, Bodie McBoatface, Anytime Fitness, Monks Corner Staff, Bake Me a Cake, Tigara Macho Nisa, On Crypto with Lionel, Crail and Michelle, URL, and Bolero Bastos. Thank you all very, very much for your continued support. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you very much to all the new Patreon members. Hello out there. Thank you to everyone who is a member of the channel who clicked the little join button below. Thank you to everyone who left tons of comments yesterday at the end of the video. I always appreciate when people leave things like that. If you're here today, leave in the comment section the word internet computer, because I'm sorry, that and magic internet money just sounds so ridiculous. Magic internet money and internet computer, leave those in the comment section to let me know that you're still here watching, because they sound ridiculous. And thank you to everyone who left a like as well. At the moment, Bitcoin is currently down by 4.1%. It is to be expected with all the news that I told you that took place, even though it should not be. It is B, where Bitcoin's price currently is. You see the exact same movements across every single different blockchain except for the stable coins. This is up and then this down, up and then this down, and currently trending sideways. I would actually love, I won't lie to you, as we have gotten the narrative that people keep saying behind the scenes that Bitcoin needs to go to $28,000 before we could move back up. I would love if that just took place today. If we had like one singular crazy dramatic move, we fell down to 28,000, and by the time we got to Sunday, we're already at $47,000. That'd be peachy. Solana is currently down by 10%. It makes sense. However, it's still in the top 10. I think it will be there for quite a bit of time until, the change is simply actually stops working. But Lunaterra is down by 8. I don't really have to tell you how much everything is down. Everything is simply in the red. I think one or two different coins were slightly green. Internet Computer is up by 1.18%. Leo is up by 0.39. Tezos is up by 2. Anything else up? No. And IOTA has firmly... Let me see if I can find IOTA. Oh, it's number 51. Look at that. Comeback King. Only $35 million in transaction value. That is terrible. But still number 51. If Theta falls enough, we will have IOTA once again in the top 50. This coin doesn't make any sense. I'm literally not sure how they're doing it with such little trade volume, and they're never actually in the news. But, I do hope that you've all enjoyed. I do hope that you all are having, continue to have, might be having a great day, a great morning, great afternoon, a great evening, wherever you are, wherever you might be. I do sincerely hope that it is absolutely fantastic. Thank you all once again for watching, listening, and or supporting, or all three. And I will most certainly be talking to you all soon. See you.